Okay, call to order the Lowell City Council regular meeting for June 21st at 7:10. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett.
Here.
Councilor Harris.
Here.
Councilor Stratus. Councilor Murray. Here. And Councilor Weathers is absent.
Okay, we have a forum. Stand up, Fred. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oops.
First up is the approval of the agenda. Anybody want to make any changes or alterations or anything like that?
I do.
Okay, what's that?
I would like to add a discussion on measure 109 psilocybin regulation / prohibition. I had to look that up and listen to YouTube to pronounce it.
Magic mushroom.
That's right. Just using the proper terms.
Okay, we'll put that under. Okay, anything else by anybody? Okay. Next up is the consent agenda. Consent agenda includes the check register for May 22 and 22, financial reports for April and May 2022, approval of minutes for July 17, 2022, approval of minutes for May 19, 2022, approval of minutes for June 7, 2022. Does anybody want to take anything out for later discussion? We have a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
Okay, Gail made the motion and Jimmy seconded to accept the minutes. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda as is read, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Okay. Next up is public comments. We have anything from the public? Public's happy, good. Council comments. Seeing none. Next up is the staff reports. City Administrator report on page 130 of your new amended packet. Mr. Carter, you want to speak to this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. To give some updates since our May 17th meeting. The biggest one is the library and the City Hall renovation project. In the packet, we have a revision log of potential pending change orders that we're tracking. We've only approved one change order. The other ones we're waiting on the contractor to turn in a proposal to do the work and provide cost information. LCOG has started ordering our IT equipment. We've had a bunch of stuff come in the office. They didn't waste any time. We are facing some delays on some items, and we've had to think creatively about how to address that. LCOG staff are helping us get some quotes from security companies for access control, intrusion detection, and security cameras. We have a fuller discussion of that later on the agenda. We are actively recruiting for a library director. We've completed 4 interviews so far. Very qualified people, really excited. We're going to have interviews scheduled for Thursday next week in the afternoon or early in the evening. One question I would have for the council is if there is 1 to 2 counselors who would like to be a part of that process. So think about that. Let me know.
I can say it, Jim. You got a lot of library kind of stuff.
What time? What times were you thinking?
I was thinking early in the, not too early, maybe starting at 3 and doing maybe 3 or 4 candidates. So we wrap up around 6-ish.
I'd like to take part. I'll follow up with you.
Okay,
Okay.
Cool.
That's the 30.
correct.
Are you interested in that?
Well, if you are and Jimmy is, that's probably Jimmy's
Either way,
a
I
qualified
will
one.
sit, I will sit in if somebody doesn't want to. But I don't mind, I enjoy listening to interviews.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. I think that'll be good. I don't think we need to overdo it unless you want to.
It's up to the council if you want to have a special meeting where you have 3 or more counselors who are involved, that's fine with me. My plan was to have 1 or 2 counselors or volunteers, staff, and.
Oh, I think that's-
I feel that it's important.
Yes, I think, yeah, you guys will do well. Jimmy's got
Unless
so much
Maureen,
background. So.
Unless Maureen comes up and says that she really wants to be in there, it's Jimmy and myself, and if she does, then I'll step out. I don't want to do a special meeting.
That sounds fun.
Okay.
We've completed the decommissioning report for East Main Street. We're waiting on a DEQ inspector to review that and let us know if we need to do anything else or if we're good to go. I don't know how long that's going to take, to be honest. Lane County is trying to get the right-of-way paperwork routed through the appropriate channels and to us so that we can close on right-of-way before June 30th. So working on that. Other items, the code committee meeting is scheduled for July 18th at 6 p.m. here at the fire station. We have a presentation scheduled on our Rolling Rock Park grant early in July. And I'm going to be out of town on July 5th through July 7th. What questions do you have for me?
I had a question.
The doors and windows, what specific things, or we're not, what specific things do the doors and windows have that, and I glanced at it and I didn't dig out what the details were that we're buying versus what's available, or just, I don't know. You have a little bit of explanation there.
I'm not sure I follow.
Well, we're asking for a specific kind of window and they're not available. And Kurt has come back and says, no, we won't. They put in alternates and he says, no, that's not acceptable. What more does it, are they shatterproof or vandal proof or something like that? I don't understand windows. I don't, get a little bit more detail why, what the alternatives aren't acceptable. I just don't understand.
I'll have to get back to Kurt on, you recall that, Max? But it was all very technical. They were able to work out solutions that we're not going to be waiting for months and months.
Okay, so if we're not waiting, then you don't have to do that. Then. I just wondered what it was, but if that issue's been resolved, I don't think at this point it's water under the bridge.
It's been resolved.
Okay, so no, I don't burn your time getting that, because if we're already there, let's stay there. Yeah. Okay, anything else, anybody about this, his report? Okay. Next up is the Public Works Report, page 169. Mr. Baker.
Council, Public Works Board, short, sweet, a lot of things to go over today, and I've got one thing to add at the end. So, streets and park, grand landscape plan, the first set of shade trees in Fall Fish Park. If you haven't seen them, they look great. These are the trees that Councilor Weathers purchased in memory of Warren. They did have their walk today, so that was a little this morning, very successful. So hopefully we can get some pictures of that on the school webpage and include something in the bridge. The part-time seasonal worker began last week on the 16th. I think what we did. So. Water treatment plant distribution. Staff repaired 3 water leaks since we last spoke. One of them was Councilor Harris's new water line. So that's good coming into the summer months.
Thank God it was the city.
Leaks. Yeah. The annual CCR water report is complete and available online. It also has hard copies available at City Hall, just like always. Sam is going to include a blurb at the bottom of the utility bill for people if they want to look at it online. And then we're also going to include it in the bridge, which is pretty standard. The CCR is the consumer confidence report. It's a snapshot of all the water produced last year, all the tests that ran on it, what the ranges were. We make phenomenal water. If you guys want to take a look at or have any questions, feel free to ask me and explain to you. But we do truly make excellent water here. So. Wastewater treatment plant, the annual TDO report was accepted by DEQ and approved. That's the report I went over with you guys on stormwater. So that's good. This is the first year I worked here in 9 years that we haven't had a back and forth. So just turned it in, did a thorough first time audit, turned it in, and got accepted about 6 weeks later. There was none of the back and forth and more information needed, so that was nice. There was a sewer blockage, sewer main blockage over off of Pioneer. This is a line we've had issues with in the past. I've already reached out to the engineer about possibly bringing some options to the table for that, the root intrusion. And this was kind of a perfect storm. No vendors were available, no back trucks in town, Mid-State wasn't available, none of the plumbers were available in town. Anybody else that had a back truck was either broken down or not even close to here. This was an emergency situation, by the way, nobody could flush the toilets. So actually I started out by reaching out to Cliff Leeper, he's the public works director at Cresswell. Their back truck went out the day before. So he told me to call Oak Ridge because they bought his old back truck. So I called Robert Chrisman at Oak Ridge, and in 35 minutes, the crew were down here and got the block for us. So that was huge. You guys seen the bill for it. It was $383. We had to pay their time plus the truck, which isn't a big deal. We are part of the county shared equipment, just like everybody else is. So if we're in need and they have it available, I mean, with certain limitations, they have to help us. So, and then we do the same thing. You guys know we have a brand new truck we bought a couple of years ago. We have a nice trailer, so we would do the same thing. So that was a good thing to go to reach out to one of the fellow board agencies and help us out. The effluent flow meter, we ordered a new one for the treatment plant. The existing flow meter is having some issues. It needs to be replaced. This is a flow meter I installed when I first started working here. See, we purchased it, and it's just on its last life. It's went out a couple times, and we need flow data is kind of important for us, especially right now. So we got a new one ordered. It's right about $2,400. So we're going to repairs and maintenance. We have money for it. One other thing to add on the wastewater treatment plant, I told you guys I would give you an update and Jeremy an update. Just ask me about this. When DEQ will get back to us about the violation, as you guys know, we tested, we didn't fight it. We have not heard nothing back. We had spoken the last couple of weeks together, like, hey, I wonder when we're gonna hear something. Reached out to the engineer, they still haven't heard anything. I received an email today at 4 o'clock from Steve Gassick with DEQ, and he's just requesting a little bit more information on our exact setup. So I'll respond to that. I already drafted it. I'll respond to that, and then I'm hoping we'll hear something soon. As you guys know, our violations, like, I don't know the exact dollar amount, but yeah, 2,300 or something. We haven't went over the other options with you guys just because we're waiting to hear back from DEQ to see what the outcome's going to be. So keep you in a little fully on that, but I think it's ironic. He literally reached out to me today, and Jeremy just asked me last Thursday, have you heard back from DEQ yet? So yeah, I'll bring that back to you guys. It'll probably come from Jeremy because we'll probably get it in the middle of the week or not on a council day. Any other questions?
So what to know about the DEQ, that's just them, that's what they're closing the case once they get the final thing, what it is, because it's I understand, it's semi-open now for
Right.
review.
Yeah, so it's, like I said, we didn't contest it, we just didn't agree with the verbiage they used. Right, so we're fully willing to pay the fine, yes, we violated, we understand that, we're very open with them. But there's some other options, and that's what I wanted to talk about you guys when we get back. So as soon as we get an official response from the email, because the email doesn't count as an official response, I'll let the city administrator share with you guys, and then I'll fully explain it. But yeah, I don't think there's anything to really. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the police report on page 170, next page. A few hours, it's glad to see that. Citations.
On the police report, I still have great concern that we're not seeing patrols at the time of day when we're seeing the crimes that are occurring in our city. Just like to make a statement on that, things are happening with me right back at 4 a.m. I left for work this morning and my neighbor's door looked on the truck at 3 a.m.
Yes.
Can I make comment to that?
Yeah.
Please. As you guys remember when Kevin was Martin was here, Chief Martin, not the last time, the time before, They, council directed them, this is a while ago, for a window that we wanted patrols to be in. So he also brought that up, that maybe it'd be a good time for you guys to give him some more input. So maybe you have Jeremy draft an email, because I forgot to say something that we've been bringing this up a lot, because yes, you're correct, that is the time. But they need direction from us, otherwise they just kind of fit us in like you were saying.
I would appreciate that. I think it would benefit our citizens. If we hadn't done that already, we would want involved, because that's when the property crimes are great. And I'm more concerned with some of this stuff that's happening at night, and that our citizens are too, than what's getting addressed in the meantime.
What times do you believe would be better for them to do it?
I think the midnight to 4 a.m. is when we're seeing issues, when we're seeing property crime. Could be as early as 11, but I think after midnight, they wait for people to go to sleep and start.
I'll communicate that to Chief Martin.
I agree with Tim said. I think that's, like I say, the reports that we get back, people will, go out in the morning to find out their card and whatever.
I can't stop it. I just noticed that.
Okay. Anything else before we go into the public hearings? Okay, in that case, we're recessed to regular session at 7:26. And the public hearings at 7:26. Okay, Oregon local governmental budget laws require cities to hold public hearings with a regular meeting within a regular meeting, where the public can comment on the budget items before adoption. People making comments will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard. Members of the council may, if they wish, ask questions of the presenters following their comments. The public hearing will be closed, and the council will afterwards be closed. The council will discuss the matter and render its decision. The matter to be heard first concerns resolution 784, a resolution to establish water and sewer rates to be effective July 1st, 2022. Mr. Conley, you want to speak to this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As reported in the recommended budget message, the recommended budget is approved by the Budget Committee as a 5% across the board utility increase to maintain utility operations while keeping up with the cost of doing business. The resolution for you tonight implements what was in the budget message and what the Budget Committee approved. Trying to pull this up here on the screen for the public. There's also in the agenda sheet a comparison of current versus proposed rates.
Any questions by the council? Person wishing to speak on this matter, and I will have 3 minutes each. Anybody want to speak? You do?
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, sure, over here.
Can I,
Yes.
the water monthly per charge EDU, current is 2687, proposed is 2821. Oh, sorry, I was reading. Excuse me.
Hearing none from council, none from the public. Okay. This public hearing is closed at 7:29. No, didn't need to close it. We're going to reopen it for the rest of the resolutions. 7:29. Okay, Next up is, next matter being heard is resolution 785, resolution declaring the city election to receive state revenues for fiscal year 2022-2023. Mr. Powell.
State law requires municipalities to hold a public hearing in order for us to be eligible to receive state revenues. That is supposed to give a public an opportunity to offer comment on how we're going to spend these state revenues. We have 12,000 anticipated for general state revenue sharing, $3,700 for the cigarette tax, 22,000 for liquor tax, 6,000 for marijuana tax. These are budgeted in the general fund. There's a typographical error on the agenda. It says anticipates receiving for fiscal 21-22. That should be 22-23.
Questions by the council? Public want the meeting to make comments. Public hearing is closed at 7:31. Public hearing is again open for a resolution 786, a resolution to adopt a budget and impose and categorize taxes for fiscal year 2022-2023. Mr. Powell.
The adopted budget has a few changes since the budget committee. The biggest change is that the adopted budget decreases $46,169. That's due to shifting amounts in the recommended budget into the end of fiscal 21-22. There are some budget schedules later on in the packet to provide a line item breakdown of what changed. Also, in the budget document in the packet, the figures that you see in the columns for fiscal 21-22 year-end estimates are updated. And the amounts that you see in the fiscal 22-23 are the numbers that are going into the adopted budget, which is also reflected in this exhibit.
Any questions by the council? Anybody want to make comments?
What is the total budget?
Total budget is $4,927,946. Out of that, $370,996 is unappropriated.
A lot of that has to do with possible loans and things like that. So if some things don't happen, it's not like we're going to spend $5 million. It's going to spill around 1.2 million. We're probably spending $1 million. That's a guess on my question. Okay, not hearing, not seeing anything. It's closed at 7:33. Public hearing is open for resolution 787, resolution certifying services. Mr. Powell.
In order for us to receive state revenues, we have to certify to the state that we're actually providing these services. We have to provide a minimum of 4 out of the list that they give. This certification makes it easier for the state to process their paperwork.
Questions by the council? Comments by the public? Not seeing any. Public hearing is now closed at 7:34. Public hearing is open for resolution 788, a resolution to adopt a supplemental budget for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020. Must be 1 or 2.
2020, beginning July 1, 2021.
Okay, for this one. To make supplemental appropriations and to authorize the transfer of appropriations within funds. Mr. Collins.
This is to clean up some budget line items prior to fiscal year end. The supplemental budget is required for the street fund because we did not have an appropriation for capital outlay. This transfers $10,400 from materials and services accounts to the capital outlay. The reason for that is we had some unanticipated excavation and other improvement work on city streets earlier in the fiscal year. There are also line item transfers in attachment B. The first one transfers amounts that we budgeted for a librarian's salary into a contract services account. That's where we paid for our library consultant. The second one is to transfer contingency amounts into the sewer systems capital outlay. The reason for that was due to the unanticipated failure of our return activated sludge pumps earlier this year.
Questions by the council? Comments by the public?
I don't know if it's appropriate, but what is the estimated salary for the library coordinator? What would that limit on?
For the fiscal year beginning July 1, we had a starting wage of $18 per hour.
Budget for like 26,000. That sound about
And
right?
that's part-time. That's part-time. Not 40 hours a week.
25, 20,
20 hours.
20,
Annualized, that's about 20.
yeah.
Have a fine court.
We need you in there.
I could make a real mess.
Okay. Anything else?
So,
Not hearing,
go to-
not seeing anything. Public hearing is closed at 7:36. The regular session is reconvened at 7:36. We have no old business. First item under new business, motion to approve profit sharing agreement with the Thrift Books Global LLC. That's on page 171. Mr. Collins.
This was pulled from the last agenda so that we could investigate another book reseller. I investigated Better World Books, another company that sells used books, to see how they compare. Their representative said that we would have to have a minimum of 2,000 books on an annual basis to establish an account. And I don't believe that's going to be feasible for our library. I also consulted with our library consultant Penny Hummel on this, and she advised that Better World Books has a little bit stricter criteria for what they'll accept. For these reasons, I'm recommending that we go with Thrift Books. For me, the biggest criteria is not so much trying to get money off of reselling books, but making sure that we can demonstrate to the public that we're disposing of surplus books in a responsible way. I'd like to get moving on this as soon as we can so that volunteers can go to work.
Yeah, because we've already got a good stack.
Yes.
I read in there we pay 50% of the shipping charge back. Any idea?
What that would cost?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how many books they would take, to be honest. I think the total amount that we're going to get, I really don't know. It's not going to be much.
Okay. I know that we start by paying 50% and then they reimburse us something like that. But I agree, whatever amount it is, it's better than we seem throwing in the trash. We don't want to be seen that way. Okay. Any questions for concerning the thrift books?
I don't have a question. I just want to say that I was at least one of the people who asked you to investigate Better World Books, and I really appreciate you.
I appreciate the suggestion.
Good thing you brought it up. You never know.
Yes.
Do we have a motion for thrift books?
The motion to approve the profit sharing agreement with Thrift Books Global LLC and authorizing the city of Fort Wayne to sign.
Wait a second. Okay, Tim made the motion. And Gail seconded. Further discussion,
Jimmy said.
questions? All those in favor of motion to approve a profit sharing agreement with Thrift Books Global LLC and to authorize the city administrator to sign, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, carried. Next up, motion to approve resolution 784, resolution to establish water and sewer rates. Mr. Collins.
No further report as this was covered in the public hearing unless there are questions from the city council.
Are we continuing our notifications of the public about our assistance program for the water and sewer?
I believe we probably need to be a little more proactive about that. And I believe that the Lane County Social Services, who has the low income program that we're working with now, I believe they have a referral program for people who are signing up for public assistance. They get automatically referred to us. But you're correct.
I think it's a good time.
I agree.
That's the main thing, I think Sam is working with these people, and they have, concerns, problem pay and stuff like that. I'm sure she's correct.
I'd rather be proactive about it, don't have to know what at time.
I think we talked about
Bills.
putting it on the bill or something so that it was, I remember us talking about it, so that it was seen by people on a regular basis. They know it's out there. They can apply for it.
For instance, if there's nothing else going on, every bill should at least have.
Yeah. I mean, I think we decided that was the easy way to do it. And it was just consistently there.
More questions? Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2022-784, a resolution to establish water and sewer rates effective first 2022.
I'll second.
Jerry made the motion, Gail seconded. Other discussion, questions? All those in favor of motion to approve resolution 2022-784, resolution to establish water and sewer rates to be effective July 1st, 2022, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to resolution 785, resolution declaring the city election to receive state revenues. Mr. Collins.
Nothing further as this was covered in the public hearing unless there are questions from the city council.
I just have a question about our verbiage on the naming convention here. Are we going to be calling all of our items resolution 2022 year and then a number, or is it just, are we continuing with the old pattern? It's the three number numbers?
I thought I had changed that. Did that not show up? Jim, I thought I had changed it to take the,
So we're sticking, it should be just 785.
Correct.
There's no year in front of our.
correct. You just need to say the resolution.
Any other questions? Comments? Do we have a motion for city elections?
Make a motion to approve resolution 785, a resolution declaring the city's election to receive state revenues for the fiscal year 2022 through 2023.
Yeah, made the motion, Jenny seconded. Do we have further questions, discussions? All those in favor of motion to approve resolution 785, a resolution declaring the city elections to receive state revenue for fiscal year 2022-2023, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay. Next up is resolution 786, resolution to adopt the budget, impose categorizing tax for fiscal year 2022-23 on page 183. Mr. Collins.
No further report unless there are city council questions.
Not seeing any, not hearing any. We have a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 76, a resolution to adopt the budget and impose and categorize taxes for fiscal year 2022.
I'll second.
Okay, Jeff made the motion, Gail seconded the motion. Okay, we have further discussions or questions? I'll say not hearing. All those in favor of motion to approve resolution 786, a resolution to adopt a budget and impose categorizing package for fiscal year 2022, 2023. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up is resolution 787, resolution certifying services. Mr. Conley.
No further report unless there are questions.
What page is that?
One, or 265.
Yeah, thank you.
On 265.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 787, the resolution certifying services.
I'll second it.
Tim made the motion and.
Give it to
Jimmy
Jimmy.
seconded. Okay. Further discussions, questions? Seeing not hearing. Motion to approve resolution 787, resolution certifying services. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Next up is resolution 788, a resolution to adopt supplemental budget for fiscal year July 1, 2021. Mr. Collins,
Nothing further unless there are questions.
any questions? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 788, a resolution to adopt a supplemental budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021. Is that correct? Or should that be
It's-
Yeah.
that's-
Okay.
you're
to
correct.
make supplemental appropriations and to authorize the transfer of appropriations within funds? Sorry. Just make sure.
Okay. Gail made the motion and Tim seconded. Questions, discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve resolution 788, a resolution to adopt a supplemental budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021, to make supplemental appropriations and to authorize the transfer of appropriations within funds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, none. Next up on page 274, motion to approve resolution 789, resolution authorizing amendment to the employee pay scale for fiscal year 2022, 2023. Mr. Cotter.
This is to update the pay scale. What we've done is we've bumped up the starting wages for each position. The reason is that our previous pay scale had very, very low starting wages, and then we had employees who were already maxed out. So what we did is we came up with something that's a little bit more competitive, I think. And then on exhibit B, what we're doing is we have each of our current employees and we're saying where on the pay scale we're going to put them going forward. Each employee will receive a raise. It'll range from 1.26% to 5.5%. Even though we're giving a pay raise to each employee, the amount that we're paying for salaries and wages and payroll taxes is actually less than the current year. And the reason is that our long-time city clerk retired, and she was at the top of the pay scale.
Questions? Comment? We have a motion for 789.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 79, a resolution authorizing adjustments to the employee pay scale for fiscal year 2022.
We have a second. Okay, Gary made the motion, Tim seconded. Motion to, any questions, discussion, further? All those in favor of motion to approve resolution 789, a resolution authorizing adjustment to the employee's pay scale for fiscal year 2022, 2023, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Next up is within amendment number 1 on May 17, 2022, intergovernmental agreement with the State Department of Transportation and Lane County governments. Mr. Collins, I'll speak to this.
The DOT is requesting that we make some amendments to our original agreement within this past few months ago. This is related to code update project. And this amendment mostly covers some legal stuff having to do with Civil Audit Act requirements, certifications that we will comply with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It specifies what kind of costs are eligible. We're not paying anything else. This is going through LCOG. As well as some other miscellaneous edits to the wording of the original.
Question? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment number 1 to the May 17th, 2022 intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Transportation and Mountain Glen Council of Governments and to authorize the city administrator to sign.
Okay, Tim made the motion and Jimmy seconded. Motion to approve. Questions, discussion? Nope. All in favor of motion to approve amendment number 1 on the May 17, 2022 intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Transportation and Land Council of Governments and to authorize the city administrator to sign. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Next up is motion to authorize city administrator to approve a property line adjustment. Mr. Cottle. From 293.
This is a make a property line adjustment on the 70 North Pioneer Street property, like what is shown in this graphic here, which is also in the packet. The city code authorizes the city administrator to make these kinds of property line adjustments as an administrative matter. I believe it's good practice to have approval from the council before I accomplish that. What this will do is it will move this property line down here. And then we'll have a tax lot here that we can sell and use the sale proceeds to pay for the renovation project. Once we have the paperwork filed and recorded, we'll need to have a discussion on if we want to sell that parcel as is. It's currently zoned commercial, or if we want to go through the rezoning process to zone it residential. We can talk about that once we get everything recorded and it's ready to sell.
Questions? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city administrator to approve property line adjustment for city-owned property located at 70 North Pioneer Street. Map and tax lot number 1901142404500.
Question, discussion?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor of motion to authorize city administrator to approve a property line adjustment for the city-owned property located at 70 North Pioneer Street, map and tax lot number 1901142404500. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You had in here, Henry might have spoken to that, but no need for it. I take it.
No, with this being a relatively simple matter, Henry did not do this.
Okay.
He did provide a staff report.
What I saw that. Okay. Next up, I'm looking at a financial and accounting consulting services agreement with Lily Nichols.
This is a one-year contract to continue our services with Lowell. This adds an extra 4 hours per week for her to provide technical assistance during their office hours at City Hall. Those extra amounts are also included in the budget that was just approved.
We have questions?
No.
We have a motion.
Make a motion to approve a financial accounting consultation services agreement with Lady Nichols and to authorize the city commissioner to sign.
I'll second.
Lots of discussion. Not hearing. Okay, all those in favor of motion to approve a financial accounting consultation service agreement with Lady A. Nichols and to authorize the city administrator to sign, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next up is a master services agreement for our communication transport services, Mr. Powell, for Douglas Fastnet.
I'm requesting approval for a service agreement with Douglas Fastnet. During our franchise ordinance negotiations with them last year, I inquired if they would want to provide free or reduced service. They said that's still on the table. They would like to have a sign up though that will recognize them for making a contribution. So this will get the ball started.
And that's who's doing all the laying the lines right now, right?
They just started yesterday.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a new one here in town.
Douglas Fastnet, yes.
I need to look into that. Go crazy with Century Link.
Other questions? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a master services agreement, communication transport services. with Douglas Fastnet, so authorize the city administrator to sign this.
Second.
Okay. So we made the motion, Tim seconded. Any questions, comments? Not hearing nothing. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve a master service agreement for communications transport services with Douglas Fastnet and to authorize the city administrator to sign, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Next one, copier, new copier for the office.
We've obtained 3 quotes for a copier. There's a bid tabulation at the end of the quotes on there. The figures on the top left corner are the number of black and white and the number of color copies that we have run over the past 5 years with our current copier. I plugged those in based on the prices that the different companies quoted us, and it looks like National Business has the lowest price available. The model that they're going to be furnishing is comparable, if not a little bit better. In fact, it is better than the current.
Questions for him? We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city administrator to execute a 5-year lease agreement with National Business Solutions for the Conica Minolta Biz Hub C450I model.
You have a second? You'll make a motion, Jimmy second. Questions, comments? A bunch of copies. All those in favor of the motion to authorize the city administrator to execute a 5-year lease agreement with National Business Solutions for the Conica Minolta Biz Hub C450I computer copier printer, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, discussion on intrusions and protections to video recordings for 70 Pioneer. Mr. Conley.
We're in the process of obtaining quotes for a security system for the new facility, and we need to make some decisions soon because the security contractor needs to work in concert with the general contractor. I tried to get some 3 quotes prior to this meeting. It just didn't work out that way. I'm going to try to have the 3rd one lined up by the end of the week. So I'm asking for your input on holding a special meeting next week so that we can present these to you and hopefully get something approved. At that meeting, I'll have our LCOG IT technician available. He's a little bit more versed in this stuff than I am, and he can answer any questions you might have. There are going to be some differences that you'll see between the cost versus quality. And that's one of the things that we're going to have to really consider when we look at everything that we've received.
And we'll hope this gentleman, the person, be able to give us that, help us understand that.
Yes.
So do you want it to be in person?
I'm thinking we could do it via Zoom. I guess 6 o'clock for half an hour or so. I was proposing Tuesday next week.
Tuesday.
We could even do it earlier if everybody's able to swing it.
So we're talking
Second
28.
Tuesday, so it's okay, never mind.
The 28th.
Do 6.
So,
Let's do 6. That was,
Okay, I'll get it scheduled.
Said about a half hour here.
Yeah.
That takes care of all the new business. Now we're down to other business. Mr. Colley, I'll go ahead and explain that as well, line to us.
I don't know the first thing about it. I don't have a clue.
Okay,
So
so,
I can get,
Well,
It has to do with mushrooms.
the magic mushrooms for the 1960s, reared their head, so.
no, they're not from the 1960s. They're there. They're in our hills. You can find them up there if we want. Okay, so the reason I brought this up is we got this email from Jeremy explaining what needs to happen if we want to prohibit the ability for people to, they're getting, I don't know a lot either. They are hallucinatory, you understand that. They're a drug and they're now legal, okay? It's legal. Similar to marijuana and all the other drugs they've legalized. So they're getting ready from what I can see, and I'm not an expert and I haven't done a ton of research, but they're getting ready to do all of the licensing and the regulations and all that stuff, just like they did with marijuana. And if we want to prohibit this in our town, we have to put it on the ballot. That's the bottom line.
Right.
So what I just like to say to it, a couple of things. One, I know that, and I'm not here to talk about how we all feel about legalized drugs or anything else. That's a whole discussion and it's not what we need to talk about here. But what I will say is just even with the marijuana thing, I personally have run into it in my neighborhood and had some concerns about it. And all we discover is that if the person has the right license and, it used to be that you couldn't do anything, couldn't grow within 1,000 feet of a school. Well, my property backs up to the grade school and the person is across the street, way less than 1,000 feet from the school. And that's legal because they have a personal medical license. So things already got rolling with the marijuana that, we have no say in, and it just all falls together. And I don't even remember how it was. I've tried to rack my brain because when marijuana got legalized, we had a decision to make and we chose not to do anything because they were going to make all these rules anyway. And they were not going to, supposedly it wasn't going to be allowed within, areas of where kids were, like stores and schools and so forth. Well, that doesn't seem to be panning out too well.
I gotta stop right there for you. I think we're confusing commercial marijuana licensing with personal marijuana use.
Well, it doesn't matter, Tim. I mean, that's a whole,
Well, I'm just saying is as a city council, we can address the commercial applications of these substances. In terms of personal use and things, we really have no position on that. That's what I'm saying.
okay. Well, that may be the case. And what I'm saying with this is that I think that's what we do want to address. Because this is going to be about your next door neighbor being able to do things commercially, probably. I mean, they haven't laid it all out. But the bottom line is, in my mind, it has to go on the ballot if we did want to prohibit it. And I think the people in our city have the right to have that say. They may not care. Maybe they won't care. And maybe they'll just say, but shouldn't they have a voice in whether they want that kind of business done inside the city limits? We're a small town. I realize Jeremy said to me about the whole marijuana thing. It's a problem in every city because it just crosses all kinds of things that, are now legal. And we don't have a lot to say what happens next to us. And I realize there's freedoms and all kinds of things we could get into. But all I'm saying is I think I'm just asking, why would we not give our citizens the opportunity to vote on this?
So once again, I don't want to hammer on a point, but what I'm trying to say, Gail, is that we only have so much control. We can only send so much to, so we can say, we can make rules saying things like, there can't be an establishment within the city of Lowell that distributes this or this or this. But when the state law says that somebody can have or grow these substances, I don't believe we have any control over it.
So there was an example of which town is it? No,
I'm just trying to set our expectations realistically.
No,
about what we
and this
have the power to
sample
do.
will set the expectations, is what I'm saying. There's a sample that was sent with this in terms of, so it's gonna outline what we can and can't do, is my point. This is Central Point's documentation, their resolution. And so the point is we give this information to our citizens and let them vote on it.
But clearly within this, what they're saying is that you can't set up a distributor within the city limits of Central Point. That's all I'm saying is we have to be realistic in our expectations of what we can.
I understand that, Tim. I know this isn't gonna literally, I understand that. I'm just thinking that people should have a voice.
I can provide some information I think may help with the changes that the voters approved regarding silo siding products. That doesn't open it up to personal growing or consumption of it. It's through a certified counseling or therapy centers. So it's not like somebody's going to have the same ability with legal marijuana that they will with psilocybin mushrooms. What this has to do with is, do we want a manufacturing facility in here? Do we want one of those counseling centers that are going to be set up for people to come in and have a supervised use of it?
When we went through this with the marijuana, I think it needed to be commercially zoned, and I think we may do the 1,000-foot around the school. I think Armando is the only place the commercial properties that were available for them. So I don't know if that's changed, I don't know if it's different.
Well, but I was just gonna say, so we
No, I'm
don't,
not disagreeing with what you're saying. I
Yeah.
think it's a good thing to weigh it up. And
I
if
guess I think of how small we are.
Yeah.
You know, and we thought it was 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Now we're not, that's not happening. I mean, yes, it's personal, I get it, you know, all that stuff, but it's 12, plants across the street, out in the open, access to everybody, if they want to walk in there and, there's only so much we can do. And I, like I said, freedoms are a big deal and important, but I guess when I think of our downtown plan and all of the things that, we want this town to offer, and people are bringing their kids out here because they like what's going on, I just think we ought to at least give the city the opportunity to vote yes or no.
Jeremy, what cost, if any, is there to the city to bring it back?
There'll be none if we put it on in November, because elections, it'll just coincide.
And I think it says we have to do it by November, or
That's true.
I had the impression that maybe that was the only opportunity we have. It's now or never.
That was my reading from.
That's
our
the way
city
I read
attorney's
it.
advice.
And most of the things that go on.
And it seems like that happened with the marijuana thing too. And that was about, I don't know if this is gonna bring any revenue in. The marijuana tax, if there was something we could have done. And we thought that the regulations were going to cover us anyway, so we didn't do anything, which may have still been the right decision, but we also would have given up that tax if we had done that. And I did not see, how much is that tax, Julie? I meant to call you.
It was like 12,000.
I mean, it's not a massive amount of money, but We could be giving up.
That's not right.
It doesn't, it hasn't said that. I haven't read that anywhere,
That
but
pays for half our library.
drug money. Sorry.
We need kids down here for a vote.
If the mushrooms still fall under medicinal, there's.
Well, the
same way-
little, the teensy bit I've read, there is some medicinal, but that's still very. I mean, it's not a lot of studies on it, and it's not, they do make some kind of pills with it. But it's not quite, it's not where CBD is. And I mean, there's good properties there. I'm not
I think
knocking
it's
that.
worth leaving everything up to our constituents. I mean, something like this, I think we need to let them decide. I completely agree.
That's kind of really the bottom line. I mean, yeah. I'm not thrilled about it myself personally, but that's really my deal. That's really
So
my deal.
how would we go about this? Will we have to have a special meeting to figure out the verbiage of this, or are we gonna send
You
you
just said
something?
a point. couldn't you?
If you want to move forward, the next step would be to have the city attorney draft the ballot language, and then you would approve a resolution to refer this to the voters, and we could accomplish that at your next July meeting, and I believe that would get it in.
Now, could we though educate the community that this is coming out and
The bridge and all that.
and this is what you're voting on?
Yeah, as long as it's educational in purpose.
Oh,
and
yes.
And it doesn't veer into advocating.
No, I get that. No, I'm just talking about so they understand exactly why it's there. why they're voting.
So is that the direction that you want to go? If so, I'll get the city attorney working on this.
I think so. Consensus. Everybody agree?
I think leaving it alone and not doing anything is a decision on our part that kind of assumes what the city would do. And I don't think that's really inherent to our position to make that kind of decision for our constituents across the board. I think it's worth offering the citizens of the world to say
yeah.
in a decision like this.
I just think there's so many times people feel like, oh, we didn't hear, we didn't know, like I said, I mean, they may not care, but I just feel like because it has to be voted on, it's giving them the opportunity to have a voice.
Well, and if it's a now or never kind of a thing, and then we go to we pass that deadline and we didn't give them an opportunity, there's a lot of dissatisfaction.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what's gonna come back is you guys didn't give us an opportunity.
Yeah, what you need.
Based on what I'm hearing, I'll have the city attorney prepare the language and resolution for you to,
They pretty much just look at what we got here
yes,
and save some time and effort.
yes, it still has to come. Yeah. But yes, this is what we will.
That's good. Anything else from anybody?
Do we know how much longer the project should go for the safer school, practice school budget?
Little more probably. They're back to school.
The last schedule that they gave me showed it wrapping up in July. I don't know if that's changed or not.
It looks like it might be pushed out, maybe possibly another week. There will be sufficient additional grinding.
Okay, and we'd had talked about a year and a half or 2 years ago, they were doing just another project about raising up that drainage cover at the far end, so it'd be the south end of that island. I saw some risers being provided. Are they maybe gonna raise that up a little bit?
They are not. I asked that exact question. They are not gonna raise it. They want to leave that slope. So they are doing a natural bioswale behind the sidewalk, so they're using that natural contour, not only of the road, but they're gonna keep that so that it goes to that low point. So they only have to change the infrastructure above it, not everything down.
Okay, well, we gotta say on the property now, so it's not a big deal, but.
Right. Yep. But that part's still on the,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep, I did. That's the first thing I asked. I seen all the risers. Just to make it
They're just
level.
replacing other ones.
Yeah, they put a whole new system in there.
We're adjourned.
Oh, wait a minute, oh, sorry, can I make a comment? You don't mind?
Sure.
Says here, 2 minutes, I'll talk slow. Two things, just what Gail's just said, I think is very, very important that we don't go to sleep on. Because if we don't get ahead of the game here, we could be really put down like Gail's saying, people don't know much. And it's such a critical issue because as these things creep in and you don't make, I shouldn't say make a stand, but inform the public of what it is, you know, it could be backfire on the city. And you're talking about what to do. And there again, most of us around here pretty don't know much about all the details of this, whatever it is that you're talking about. I should know. So is there any way we could have somebody, I don't want to say any public meeting or something to explain it to the system, really, what is this? First I've heard of it. So I don't know how we can get the word out for people to, does it behoove us to notify the public in some way, not influencing, but this is something that,
Well, it sounds like we will let the public know that this vote
It
is
should be
coming
part
out.
of, it should be also be part of the ballot package.
yeah, but they need to know before a ballot, see, that's what I'm
Well,
thinking about.
frankly,
how
Frankly,
can we do
George,
that?
just Google it. Google it. Here, I printed
Yes,
something
well,
off. I
is it
mean,
not-
there's some basics about it. You can
Yes,
find.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, so I'm glad I heard that.
But I'm talking about the voters page, George, so.
Oh, yeah, well, I
We
mean,
get
before,
that ahead of time, just like for anything else, for issues coming up on our ballot,
Yeah,
that
but I
we have an opportunity to.
but a lot of
get
people don't
education
do
on.
much, I'm not
Well, why would they read
disagreeing with
anything else
that,
then?
but, you know, this is a critical thing, it talks about affecting our children. I don't
Well,
know,
it's
just
out
an
there.
idea.
And it's out there now. It's not like this is just gonna show up. It's been there.
I think it's good to have.
Kids have been digging them out of the hills for years.
Well, you know,
I mean,
it's good to be
seriously.
having a game, really.
But
But it should go to the ballot. The other thing I had in mind is, what are we going to do about the bridge? We got all this revenue coming here, you know, drug money and all this stuff. You know.
I should never have said
That's
that.
your fault, yeah.
Yeah, it is my fault. That was on.
So where are we at with, what is the procedure? What can we think outside the box to get it taken care of?
Can you bring us up
Yeah.
to speed? What's up with the bridge?
Yeah, the gate.
The gate's broken, yeah. We're working on it, that's all I can tell you.
And it's expensive.
It's damaged pretty bad. And you know, that's not city property, we're responsible.
I
for it.
know.
So we
I
reached out,
understand that,
we
yeah.
reached out to Lynn County, we're in the middle of an AGI with them anyways update, so.
That's what I'm trying to.
And I know they're busy, well, but yeah,
You know.
we're gonna make an attempt tomorrow to at least get it. See, but yeah, it's,
Mm.
that gate is very expensive.
I can't believe how it could get so.
So did somebody damage it or is it just needs, I mean, it's just wear
Well,
and tear?
they try and bend it at the bottom to get in and then that down to the top. And I mean, what they do is unbelievable.
Because it doesn't go into the receiver right, so it messes up the receiver.
It's out of the track.
It's off the track.
But they broke a bunch of the, it's aluminum, so once you got a track, they bend them, once you make that straight again.
So they put a bar along the bottom to straighten it and still.
It would be better just go to the gate.
Well, we wondered that, but
Yeah,
you
you
know,
got,
technically, it's not city property, you gotta maintain it, you got those lights and displays, and, you know, it's a risk.
and then we're inviting visitors during the night.
Yeah.
You know, that's another
It's
issue.
just,
that we
it's
have to be
another
careful of.
park issue. I mean, keeping people out.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be nice if we could do something, and I don't know. We could do once we got it open, you know, it's another issue.
Well, you send 120 volts through.
I like that one.
Could we?
We'll get their attention.
Yes, it will.
There you go. Get a zapper on. You know, you cross an invisible.
I mean, that's how you train dogs.
Yeah, that's a good idea, that invisible ray. You
I
got
don't
it, yeah.
know. It's so much vandalism. It's
Yeah.
just.
Well, we could, you know,
It's just so sad.
Anything else?
Because we can't do anything.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to go on.